So, um, what I do is I coach and train people to on personal growth and to help them to raise their level of consciousness. That's pretty much in a nutshell that I do. In order to really get a sense of what it is, I would like to first give you a couple of, well, there's basically three different concepts of personal growth and or levels of consciousness. So this first one here that I'm going to briefly introduce you to is, I don't know who really originates that, but I've learned it from Dr. Michael Beckwith. And I've heard also a lot of other people to use that. I'm not quite sure who is that, originally from. But anyway, so there are in this concept, there are four different levels. The lowest level, as you can see here, is to me, which is kind of like a victim level. And that means that person in this level feels that things are just happening to me. And they feel like, I have no ability to affect what is going on. Basically, the environment just throws things at me, and all I can do is just respond or react to whatever the environment throws at me. So that means that I am the victim in this level. I'm the victim of my environment, of other people, and so on. And they feel really, the people on this level, that they cannot really control their lives. That's the basic thing. They just react to whatever happens. And the next level here is then by me, which is kind of like awakening level. That means that at this level, I start to realize that, hold on, I can kind of affect how I think. I can choose my thoughts. And when I choose my thoughts, that affects how I feel, and that affects how I act and behave. So when I think differently and I act and behave differently, then also I start to make an impact to my environment. So meaning that when I act and behave differently, also the environment starts to respond to my actions and behavior in a different way. So I get a sense, kind of like awakening, that hold on, I'm not a victim. I can affect on myself and what I do, and also how the environment treats me, basically. And this is also the stage where a person starts to set new goals. Instead of just doing what the boss tells me, just doing, what the my wife or husband says or whatever, then we start to set our own goals and start to achieve them. So people also who are stuck in this level, they pretty much feel also stressed, because they are so much trying to achieve their goals, and they are just working on those things, and also causes quite often a lot of stress. So then the third level is through me, which is also called a recoding level. At this level, the person starts to recode themselves. Now, here's the funny thing, by the way. When I meet people on this victim level, the lowest level, to me level, I teach them to take control of their lives. And then when they take control of their lives in the by me, the awakening level, they kind of work on that. So the recoding is basically that people start to really recode how they feel, how they think, and how they behave. And that means that things are happening through me. They just allow things to happen. This is also, some people call it like a flow state. So instead of struggling to make things happen, on this level, people kind of let things happen. They are on the flow of life. And so they are basically starting to recode their whole neurology in a new way. And that's also relieving a lot of stress. Here we go. As me, that's like a level of higher connection. That's very rare, and we're not going to really concentrate on that. I mean, that is basically also what is called the enlightenment. So that's very rare. Then there's another concept, which is logical levels. This is originally by, oh shoot, how can I not remember the name? Anthropologist. Okay, I'll tell the name if I remember it. But anyway, it is now then further developed by Dr. Richard Bandler and his students. And there's the same thing basically, that there's like the environment is at the bottom, meaning like the person is really just, acting and behaving in the environment, and the environment basically, just determines what's going on. And then the highest here is like the spiritual or purpose level, and in between there are a little bit different things that are affecting. This is what I use a lot with my customers and clients when we do some change work, especially on the lower level. So we need to check that whatever changes they make in their thinking, they are in line with whatever is above the level that we are working on. So basically, if we change a behavior, or I help them to change their behavior in whatever kind of context, we need to make sure that they also have a strategy and capability to maintain that new behavior. And that also means that usually they have to check that, do they need to change their beliefs as well? And what is it also in line with their values? We don't usually go up to the identity or the spiritual or purpose, no. But I just want to make sure that all these things are in line, and then I go back to check that how the new behavior affects the environment. That's where I use it. But we'll get back to that a little bit more later on. Then just, this is just to see that, that kind of like is in line with the 4 stages. Like I said, the highest is like this higher connection or spiritual or purpose level, and the lowest one is this environment that person is only like reacting to whatever the environment throws at them. Now here's the concept from Dr. David Hawkins, and I really, really like this one. This is more detailed, and what Dr. Hawkins has here as a levels, he has scaled them like with different frequencies. The lowest frequency, by the way, is like the level of consciousness that bacteria has, and that's like 1. And then we got 1000, which is the level of the highest enlightened people, including Buddha or Jesus Christ or Krishna or people like that. Anyway, we don't really go to that direction. I'm just showing you what these levels are. Now, according to Hawkins, when people are on the level that is lower, or the arrows are not matching here, by the way, but levels of 200, which is here like courage and affirmation, then anything below that is kind of like a negative state, and whatever is above that is like a positive state. So when people are living in these states, let's say there's like a shame, which is the lowest one here, or guilt or fear or anger and pride, then they are in a negative state of emotions. And according to Hawkins, 78% of people on this planet Earth are really on that level, on those stages. So below the 200 and on a negative level. That is basically also what it's in the Dr. Beckwith's the 4 levels is like the lowest level, or transcendence is to the second lowest level. And then when people grow from the negative states towards trust, for example. So I start to trust my life, and I try to start to trust myself, and I start to feel optimism, which is 310 here. Those are pretty much like the levels that those are pretty easily still to achieve. When we go above that, it requires like forgiveness and acceptance. And science basically is in the 400s. Like there's a way he checks those things. Then like Einstein is in the 499, which is just below the love. So science is between 400 and 499. That's like where the understanding and the reason happens. And then when we go to love, and then joy, 400 or 540, which is also like the unconditional love, and that's the state. And then from 600 upwards, it's basically enlightenment in different levels of enlightenment. Okay, so here are the different concepts. So what I do basically is my job is to kind of like recognize that in what level my clients are. So, and like I said, Dr. Hawkins said that most of the people, 78%, are in the lower levels, which means that pretty much they are responding to the environment, and they are not really yet in control of their lives. And when I have clients who are like above this 200 level, then there are different tools and different techniques that I use. And if I think my mission is to really help people to come out of this like a lower stage, to get control of their lives. And that's the most of the stuff that I do. I have to say though that when we come to the higher levels above the 200, they are really it's a totally different kind of coaching, and which to me is also very rewarding. I mean, all of that is very rewarding. And by the way, also one thing is that on the lower levels, things are very concrete. They are very specific. And therefore, there are like very specific techniques as well. Let's say there's the fear. I have helped hundreds of people with their fears. And those, I mean, we have very specific techniques how we can help people to, get relief for their fears. But when we go higher, we go to these, let's say 300s. And yes, you can see like 350, there's like forgiveness. That's a different thing. There is really no concrete, tangible techniques anymore to teach how to forgive. So when we go to the higher levels, things become more abstract. Instead of being very tangible and concrete in the lower levels, when you get higher, things become more abstract, and therefore they are more difficult basically to just use techniques, and so things become totally different there. Okay.
Did Sue have some kind of question? Because I saw.
I did. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to know if you could, I think I know what it is, but if you could explain frequency a little bit.
Well, the frequency, this is something that Dr. Hawkins has kind of like established, and he uses muscle testing for that, and that's there's also, hold on, there's a finer word for what's the, I'm forgetting all the kinds of words and names today. Gregory Bateson, by the way, was the person who had these logical levels. Now that I remember that, then further developed from Dr. Richard Bandler. Anyway, so it is Dr. Hawkins's his discovery, and everything. I mean, we go back to. I mean, I have also studied some quantum physics, so everything in this universe is energy, and the energy kind of like has different frequencies. And these frequencies are what Dr. Hawkins kind of uses here. They represent the frequency of a person when they are in these kind of stages. So the lower stages, the frequency that is measurable with the muscle testing, and also, I mean, if you take like different kinds of other things, you can take brain scans or MRIs or whatever things, where you can basically scan or measure the frequencies people are in. So the higher the frequency, basically, the better you feel. That's in a simplified version of it. So if you are on a lower frequency, I mean, if you think about this, if you feel anger or desire or fear or grief or anything like that, that's a negative emotional state, and you feel it. That's a frequency that you have somewhere in your body. And when you go to, let's say, love or joy, that's a totally different kind of feeling in your body, and then there's also a different kind of frequency.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So,
I
okay.
also have a question regarding this fast. How would you? What is the easiest way to start to reprogramming or reframing your energy? Like as an example, if you receive negative like frequency for yourself, I know there's different kind of techniques like what comes for the health wise. As an example, if you go and help some person, but us as individuals, how we can basically, what is the small things we can do today to affect that frequency and make it better for us?
Okay, I think I was going to explain a little bit of that, but there again, it depends on which frequency you are, and that's by the way one of the problems that people have. Let's say if a person is in a grief, which is here like 75 frequency, and then they start to, or they try to look for help from a spiritual guru. I mean, it's a huge jump from there. I mean, then that's pretty much, in my opinion, and what I've understood, you know, from other teachers, that you know, there's such a huge gap that if you try to jump straight from that 75 to say to peace, which is like 600, I mean, they don't just, you know, they don't work. So basically, also what I do and I try to do and help with the people, it's a gradual process, and that's, you know, also that's how I felt. I mean, I'm not quite sure where I started, like what 30 years ago or something. However, and you know, but what I have recently also experienced and raised on these levels, so there are cases where people come or jump from the very, very bottom to enlightenment. But those are rare cases, and they basically, that requires that a person feels that all hope is gone. I have absolutely no hope, and the only thing they have left is somehow to experience something, then pew! Something, you know, like enlightenment happens. But those are rare cases, but there are recorded cases that are like that. Most of us take the gradual process and go step by step. In my case, I've been working on these things for about, I don't know, mid-90s, so that makes it about 30 years. So yeah, one might think, oh shoot, that's a hell of a lot of work. I mean, I'm already like 40 years old. I mean, whatever. But the thing is that every step that you makes also, in my opinion, life worthwhile, because those things that happen along the way are just, you know, great things. And when you start to notice your own progress, you start to enjoy the whole, the path, the journey much more. So it is definitely, in my opinion, worth the whole journey. So on whatever level you start, the journey is worth it. That's how I see it. So it is about known and the unknown. So meaning that we have already like the database that we have collected so far. Let's say, so I'm 61 years of age, and I have collected a certain amount of data during these 61 years. And if I would use only that data, that knowledge that I have collected, that means that I only get those results that I have been able to get so far. So when I go to the unknown, which means that I start to look for new information, I go and find something that I did not know, or did not have kind of like access before, that kind of allows me to grow and develop. So meaning, okay, so like it says, looking to the database of the known for navigating the future is like looking in the rear view mirror to find our way forward. So meaning again, if we only use what we think we know, we are stuck. Instead, when we start to look at the unknown that we don't know yet, is where the growth happens and we can get some new results. So this is one way that I oftentimes present it to my clients and some classes and so on. It depends on who I speak to, whether I start from the results or whether I start from the thoughts and so on. But basically, let's say a person is in the lower levels of the consciousness or personal growth, and they feel that, okay, things are happening to me. I don't have control of my environment, and I mean, I'm just trying to cope with whatever my boss or whatever my wife or whatever my whoever says, and I'm just trying to follow instructions. So that means that is, those people, in my opinion, are not using like self-leadership. They are just trying to cope with life. So the first thing is that, okay, what do you want? What kind of things do you want to achieve? So you want to come out of that ditch where you are just responding to your environment. So the thing is, okay, what do you want? What kind of results do you want to have in your life? And the funny thing is, when people are on the lower levels, when I ask that question, so what do you want? What kind of results they want? I don't know. I would say 80%. This is just roughly, I don't know. But 80% of them say something like, okay, I don't want to, whatever. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be ill. I don't whatever. And they just tell me what they don't want. And that applies, by the way, also for the, like I said, I've helped hundreds of people with fears, and especially a fear of flying. So I'll give you an example. A person comes to me and they say, okay, so they want to help for their fear of flying. So I meet with them. I ask them, okay, so what do you want? Although I already know. Then they say, so yeah, I don't want to be afraid of flying. I said, cool. So what do you want? And they say, okay, so I don't want to have this fear of flying. So cool. So what do you want? And then they say, try to tell in different words what they don't want, what they want to get rid of. And at this point, they usually start to think, oh, God, man, am I paying this guy? I mean, he's stupid. He asks me the same question all the time, but I'm giving the answers. But when I ask them, when I say them, then, okay, so I keep asking you, what do you want? And you keep telling me what you don't want. They say, oh, okay. Then I ask, so how would you like to experience the flying? At least 80% of these clients say, I've never even thought about that. So they are so stuck in the way of thinking that they haven't even thought about that. So if you put, again, one slide up, Johnny, please.
Mm-hmm.
So that means they are in the known. They only know the fear in this context. And they haven't even thought of how they would like to experience the flying. So, and that is one of the basic things. So we work on the goal setting. I mean, that's something that I always ask my clients. I mean, what do you want? And I want to make sure that their goals, their desired outcomes are well formed. So one of the things is, pretty much the first thing is it stated in the negative or is it stated in the positive? If it's stated in the negative, it means that they tell themselves also that, okay, I want to get rid of this. I want to have less of this in my life and so on. But if you concentrate your thoughts on what you want to get rid of, what you don't want in your life, you're not giving instructions to your brain of what you want. So meaning that when we state these goals in the positive, meaning, okay, I want to move towards that, this is what I want to achieve, then it changes the whole neurology. It changes the focus of the thoughts. And by that, by the way, already, with these new kinds of thoughts, you change your emotional state. Instead of thinking, I'm afraid of flying, and they think about that, the fear and whatever might happen, their emotional state is in a negative state because of the fear. But when they start to think, okay, how would I like to really experience the flying? Let's say I want to be calm, I want to be relaxed, and whatever. That changes the emotional state. So that's the one thing. Then one thing is also that, okay, so is that goal within your control? Meaning that, is it totally under your control, or are there some parts of the goal that might need some help from others? But the more it is under your control, the better. That's one of the things. Then I also do pretty often like what is called an ecology check. Meaning that, so let's say, Joni, give me an example of a goal. Give me something. Whatever.
Have 20 clients.
40 clients. Okay.
Yes.
So, first, in an ecology check, is that, okay, is it really good for you? What good, you don't have to answer, by the way, what good would it get you if you get 40 clients? You might say something that, okay, so I will get more money and I whatever, so I want to get more income. Cool. Then I ask, okay, is there a negative effect? So if you get 40 clients, is there something you have to give up maybe? Or is there like a downside? And you might think, oh yeah, I would have to work harder. Let's say instead of working like 20 hours a week, I need to work 40 hours a week or whatever. So meaning that when we think, what is the cost of the goal? And are you willing to accept that cost? That's one thing. One might think, oh fuck, I'm not going to work 40 hours a week. That's way too much. So maybe then the goal is not that good. Then the ecology check goes also with the environment, meaning that what good would that achieving that goal bring into your environment? Meaning like maybe your family or your friends or whatever. In this case, you might say, yeah, so I get more income, so I can, take care of my family. I can buy a new house or whatever. Okay, cool. Those are the positive things. So is there a downside that it might bring to your environment? Okay, so if I have to work for 40 hours, I have less time to spend with my family. Again, are you willing to pay that price? So a lot of the times also people think about all the things that they dream that achieving this goal would bring into their lives, but they never consider about the price they have to pay, whatever they might have to give up because of the goal. So it's good to really understand that, okay, what are the good things and what are the bad things about the goal. and are you willing to pay the price? Okay. Then the last thing that I usually do with my clients is that I check if that goal is if they are able to kind of perceive it with their senses. That means that I guide them to think about when they have just achieved their goal, how does it look like? What do you see through your own eyes? How does it sound like? What do you hear? Also your internal dialogue. I mean, do you say things differently, different kind of tone of voice, or is the environment responding you different way? What are the changes in the environment? What do you see? And are the people also reacting towards you in a different way? And also, how does it feel? How does it feel really when you have achieved that? So when we use those three major senses, the brain gets it. If you only like write down your goal, it's only a part of it. Because our thinking really is our internal images, our internal sounds, and our feelings. So when you tell your brain, using these three senses, what do you see, what do you hear, what do you feel when you achieve the goal, then your brain gets it. Says, okay, now I know what this guy wants. Let's go and work on it. So, meaning that these thoughts affect your emotional state, and they also affect how you act and behave. And thus, when you think differently, you also act and behave differently, and therefore you achieve different things in your life. So thoughts are really a vital part. So what do I mean by that is that I teach my clients to realize that the way they've been thinking so far has brought them the results they received. If they want different kinds of results, they need to think differently, and therefore that enables them different kinds of actions and behaviors and different kinds of results. Now, here's the thing also, as you can see, there's also physiology here. That means that, okay, people might think, so okay, cool, so I need to think positive, right? I need to think about what I want to achieve, not what I want to get rid of. Now, the thing is that also our body sends messages to our brain. So this is very universal all around the world, by the way, that when we are feeling bad, whatever negative state, we kind of hunch down and we look downwards. So we go like, oh man, this is bad, I feel bad. And if you, from this physical state, tell yourself, oh yeah, Hannu told me to think about good things. But if you keep that same physical state, it's very difficult. You kind of like keep bumming back to those negative thoughts. But when you change your physiology, that means straighten your back, shoulders back, chest up, look upwards, and then when you say to yourself and that, okay, I need to think positive things, I need to think about what I want to reach and so on, it changes the whole thing. That pretty much allows your brain to think the different thoughts. So sometimes when you find it very difficult to get out of a negative state, even though you try to think positively, it's very difficult unless you change your physiology first. But by changing the physiology, that sends a different kind of signal to your brain, and allows your brain to think different thoughts, or your mind. Now here's the little thing again. As you can see on top, there are words like values and beliefs and anchors and so on. So those are the things that affect our thoughts. So meaning that, okay, let's say the goal is to have 40 clients. However, if you have a belief that for whatever reason it's very difficult, or I'm not able to do that, those are beliefs, then it's very, very difficult to think and act in accordance to that goal. So, and then there are like, I mean, there could be beliefs like, yeah, that would be nice, but I'm not really worthy of that success, which is pretty much like a core belief of worthiness. So if a person really thinks that, well, yeah, wouldn't it be nice, but I'm not worthy, I'm just a simple whatever person, then sorry, I don't think it's going to happen. So then we need to change those beliefs. And the beliefs are only thoughts, although they are very deeply rooted in our mind. And beliefs are kind of like evaluations and assessments about ourselves, about other people, and the world around us. But they, again, it's not about truth. They are only assessments, evaluation, our own thoughts. And once we realize that we can change our thoughts, we can change our beliefs. Now, here's also the values. So 90% of the cases with my clients, when they tell, okay, what they want, I ask them, why is it important to you, or what is important to you about the goal? So in, like, again, Joni's case, if he says, okay, I want 40 clients, then I might say, okay, so what is important about having 40 clients for you? And that is very, very important thing, because, I mean, if the goal does not, comply with the values or what is important to the person, then that person is most probably lacking any kind of motivation to do those changes in the thinking and actions and behaviors to achieve the goals. So if there is, I mean, because also in a lot of cases, those goals, again, are coming from an outside source, and the person doesn't feel that, it's not important to me. I mean, let's say the boss says that, Joni's boss says, okay, you need to get us 40 clients. Do it. But Joni does not feel it's important to him. What do you think? How motivated is he to get 40 clients? Just because the boss says? Not that much. Yeah. So there needs to be an intrinsic value of the goal for a person to really do any changes that are required to get to the goal. So this is pretty much what I teach and go through with my clients in the lower levels of the consciousness. We go back to that thing about going with the levels, and like Dr. Hawkins said, that 78% of the population of the earth are on that level. So that's what I work mostly with my clients. Then there are some clients that I've had, I mean, just this past week, was it on Thursday? Yeah, I met a client of mine, has been a client for, I think, about 12 years or so. And he comes nowadays like maybe once or twice a year. And what we, again, went through with him this time was totally different. So he has already, kind of ascended on those levels. So we were not talking about those techniques anymore. We were talking about, these more abstract things. And that's, by the way, very rewarding in my case, in my opinion as well, because I really love when people are growing and they are going on the higher levels and we start to think about different things. And we were talking about forgiveness, and we were talking about gratitude and those kind of things. And that's a totally different kind of coaching, by the way. Totally different kind of coaching. To me, it's very rewarding, but the majority of the work that I do is in the lower levels. Then again, it's also, I feel that also very, very rewarding, because That's where the biggest need is. Okay, questions. That was, very fast. I tried to explain. I don't know if that made any sense. This is the first time I did this kind of presentation in about 40 minutes or so. So I don't know. Did you understand anything I was saying? Did it make any sense?
No, you made it make.
No.
It was very simple
Okay.
and easy to understand.
Oh, cool. Good. Thanks. That's great.
Yeah. I have been fascinated about Hannu's work for a long time already. And the reason why I also know this is gonna be super valuable, everything just Hannu told, just about like what is the cost just for the price or the goal what you have in your life, because we don't think those things in our life too much. And as an example, what comes for the structure where I really much shape and I put really time and effort on it, like what kind of structure you want to have in your business so it really feels like you and it's easy for you to maintain. This is pretty much a structure. Why? Because if you end up doing the things that you don't even like, you will start sabotaging your life in future. And this is really, really good chances. If anybody has any questions regarding their life, their business, anything, just please go and ask, because I think Hannu will be able to give you multiple different kind of good perspectives.
Well, basically, what I love about my work is really that there's such a huge scale of different kind of clients. And I do not prepare myself. Because if I kind of think that, okay, so this client is probably this or that, I'm gonna do this or that with them, then I'm not paying attention to them. I really want to see them. I want to hear them, and then I'm gonna start to think, okay, so what does this person need? And every client is different. Absolutely. Even when I say that I have helped hundreds of clients with their fears, even phobias. They each construct the fear in their mind in a different way. I don't think there has been two people who have constructed the fear in exactly the same way. So, yeah, that's pretty fascinating to me.
Yeah, and I have been actually one of those people who was actually about the airplane fear, working with Hannu. So I've been working with Hannu towards these things for, I think, over a year now. I think it's 1.5 years together. So I've been able to see this on my own eyes, and it's really unbelievable how he teaches and the results and everything. And I think it's super. Yeah, it's kind of put me on speechless about every time. Every time I listen to this lesson, what you just made us, like I'm really, all I can say is just thank you. Like this is really, really good and cool thing actually.
Well, I'm glad if it's of help. Really, because like I said, it's very rewarding to me as well. Especially when I can see the changes in my clients. That's just absolutely rewarding.
I have one question right now. This is actually towards all the crew members, because I think everybody right now is kind of like on the verge that they are trying to fix and trying to like see the point where their goals are, what they're doing right now. But at the same time, there is too much going on. So they're crumbling small by small because they're taking too much things basically with their subconscious mind. So what kind of action would you right now say to all the crew members they should be doing? Because work in business, it's a lot of work. It's really hard. You have to go a lot in for yourself, especially because we are coaches. We help other people. So it's a really like a fascinating combination.
Again, giving a general advice is difficult, like I said, because we all think differently. Like the clients with the fears, they all constructed in a different way. However, I think one thing is, which is like a myth, is the multitasking. So yeah, you can try it, but in my opinion, you're not getting much out of it. So I think it's important to somehow decide again what is the most important stuff. So really concentrate on the most important things, and then see what happens. And you can change also, what do you consider of being important, So I think a very, very important part is the ability to relax. Because when you are under stress, basically our brain really just goes into a very narrow mode. We go into a tunnel vision basically, and we really repeat just what we have learned so far. In order for you to grow, you need to relax and allow the new information enter your conscious and your mind. If you are under stress, you just keep repeating whatever you think you know, and no change pretty much is possible. So learn to relax. Take time. You don't need that much time. I mean, just 5 minutes every now and then, even that is a big help. Just relax. And the funny thing is also, but we stress about things that are just mundane. I mean, what the heck? I mean, the world is not gonna end. I mean, yeah, we're gonna die at some point, so what? I mean, are you really trying to spend your life, what you have left, being stressed out? I mean, to me, I'm sorry, but that is stupid, in my opinion. I mean, there's so much more in life to just be stressful and worry about things and so on. The worries are really, really, needless, to be honest. At the end. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Have you got any tips on how to relax? Because that's something I've been struggling with lately. A lot of external stresses are hard to relax.
Well, I mean, breathing, first of all, if you really want to relax right in that particular moment, I mean, just breathing. That's really an effective way. And couple of minutes. I mean, one easy way, an easy technique is just, count. So make the inhale as long as the exhale. People say, okay, inhale by counting 4 and exhale by counting 4. You can even exhale by counting 5, because if your exhale is a little bit longer than the inhale, then it kind of like activates the vagus nerve, so which means like it relaxing you. And that's the first thing to do. And one thing is also to really, I mean, there are a lot of things, but again, focus on what is important. I mean, you need to decide what is the most important to you at the moment. If you try to, work on all kinds of things and, this is important, yeah, you get stressed, in my opinion, yeah. I did, by the way, I worked on this. There's a little technique or thing that I did. It took me about 3 months. I was really stressed out. It took me three months that I really focused on only those things that were like first like important and urgent, so that my list of important and urgent things got small enough that when I looked at my list, I felt, okay, that's no problem. I can relax. So it took me 3 months, and I never went back to that stressful life again. That was more than 10 years ago. And by the way, I haven't had a flu for more than 10 years. Once I got rid of the stress, no more flus.
Stress is number one killer for the progress in anything in life. And it sounds so simple that just breathing in the situation we are currently experiencing stress, and then is understanding and relaxing and really seeing your full situation where you're putting your effort towards.
Yeah, I mean, that's really that's the first aid for, the breathing, but you do need that. I mean, you need to relax, because then it calms your mind, and that allows you to change the way you think. In a stressful situation, you keep on thinking the same way. Yep.
Did you, Jeff, have some questions? Because I saw you have a mic on.
No, I just, I love the box breathing. I do it all the time. It's very stress relieving. But people stress over things that they can't control. If you can't control it, why are you stressing over it?
True. Yeah, good question.
You don't have a say in the matter.
There you go.
So you got to learn to live with it and cope with it.
Yeah.
You can't control it, so don't stress over it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let me give you just, to end it, basically, one thing that I highly recommend is kind of like learn to visualize, meaning that when you think about whatever you want, really take a few deep breaths and then think about, okay, so this is what I want. In your mind, if you go to that future moment when you have just achieved your goal, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? And when you practice that, every time you do that, using at least those 3 sensory acuities, acuities. So I mean, then each and every time you give instructions to your brain, so that your brain is like, okay, now I got it. And when you do that in a relaxed state, and then you keep repeating that every now and then, each and every time you activate, there's in your brain, every brain, there's something called RAS, reticular activating system, which is the little part pretty much in the middle, well, a little bit, yeah, in the middle of the brain, and that kind of like filters the information that the RAS allows to your awareness. So meaning that when you activate the RAS with that kind of exercise, it starts to filter information that is valuable for that goal. And you start to pick up information here, and you see an ad somewhere, you hear somebody talking about that thing, and so on. So that is very good thing to do.
So basically, is that kind of like if you can just feel and visualize the goal or the mission or the new values, what you want to achieve, you're programming your brain basically automatically to feel better towards it, regardless of what your situation is in a life. You start getting more positive energy, raise your levels, and get towards the goals.
Plus again, your brain starts to filter information that is valuable in accordance with the goal.
Yeah,
you activate the filtering system there.
This is so fascinating. So it's honestly true that whatever you want in life, you can really basically create it in your mind. It can be either bad or good.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. So when you think about that, if you think about bad things that makes you feel bad, your brain takes that as an instruction. Okay, so this is what this guy wants, and they start to filter also the information accordingly. So having that practice and practicing it, you start to rewire your brain, basically. That's how it is.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
There are a lot of things, but those, again, just for an hour, that's, like in a nutshell of that stuff.
I think there was a lot of things for 1 hour. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Hannu, for amazing lesson. That was really, really amazing.
Oh, glad you enjoyed it.